No. There's not a blank one here? No, I put it at the end. If you're not gonna use the green, I'll take it, then I'll use the blue thing. I don't know.
Are you there? I got it.
I thought you were praying. I said, wow, he's praying for all of us. She bring me more at least? She bring me more. No, just, there must not. Yeah. Yeah, I thought also. Did you get it? If you think you very okay, everybody.
Hey, Larry, is she okay?
Yes, thank you. Okay, everybody, how's everyone? We're doing wonderful. Yes, thank you for having during the summer. They never had lunch and learn during the summer. Awesome. Well, we can't stop learning. Okay, hi, everybody. So good to see you. How was your musical adventure over June?
Great.
Great. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you. And I know our campus had such a wonderful time being with all of you, so I'm thrilled that we were able to bring music and song into this Beit Midrash, into our house of study. So today we begin our adventure through the Shabbat morning service, one of my favorite services. And so I'm excited for us to take this journey together. What we need is a prayer book. And you will see that I have placed 4 talitot around the room. It'll stay here until we get to the section in the service where we talk about the blessing for the talit. So I wanted us to actually have it in front of us. It'll pass around. Everyone will have a chance to touch and to hold and to examine and to look. But that's why they are laying around here. So before we actually begin, I wanted us to just take a second to release ourselves from wherever we came from. Okay? So everyone just allow yourself to leave that all in the parking lot, in the car. Try to imagine that it's not 900 degrees outside. It's beautifully cool in here. And we're gonna allow ourselves to become centered, to become present, to allow ourselves to be open to the learning that we will engage in, to give ourselves the space to hear, to learn, to understand, and to pray, to give ourselves the time and the sacred space to imagine, to be open, and to be willing to hear and to speak the words that have become somewhat familiar over centuries of our people. Maybe they will ring a little bit differently in our ears today. Maybe they will touch our hearts and our souls in ways that we might not have imagined because of our willingness to hear them differently, because of our ability to be open to the invitation to study, to know, to be curious, and to be wowed. So as we do, we're going to open with a prayer. And this prayer we're going to read together. I'm going to share it. It is from our Shabbat morning worship service and our Mishkan Tefillah. You can open to page 67.
Sixty-seven.
67.
67. Why didn't you say that you have better?
Yeah, tonight. No, it was one of my favorite. I'll tell you that. So. Okay, so let's begin together. We're gonna read together. The words are on the screen, the words are in the book. For those of you online, you'll be on every page with us, just as before. And for those in class, your prayer books, you'll follow the service through the prayer book. Let's read together at the top of page 67. I enter this sacred space to voice the longings of my heart in prayer. In sacred company, I offer my love to the Holy One. I devote myself this morning to psalm and song, study and prayer. May my heart be lifted, may my thoughts be deepened, and may my soul like the eagle's soul. Amen. We begin on page 68. Modeh or Moda Ani Lefanecha. Here's what I want to do first. Who here has a memory or a story about Modeh Ani? You do?
Yeah.
Great, share it with us.
Well, I was lucky, living in a small town, there was a temple, and my parents were very active in it. And, the room in an old house we lived in, my room was at the end, and I was always a big scaredy cat. And, people would. And in the summer, fireflies would get into my room and scare me to death, and my father would come in looking for who was in the room, but it was always the fireflies. Oh, there you go.
And so did you do Modeh Ani?
Oh, yeah, no, I was praying
Okay.
from the time, again, we're lucky. In the temple, there was Sunday school and Hebrew school, so I learned all the prayers you need to know as a girl at time.
Beautiful.
So we're boy prayers and girl prayers.
Thank you. Marcia,
I say it every morning.
so tell me about your Modeh Ani ritual.
Well, I try to say it before I get out of bed, but I'm old and I forget. So the minute I remember, I say it. My husband doesn't. But when he's there, I touch him. And I figure he's gonna get the prayer.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Doesn't make sense, but in my mind it does.
I love that. There's a beautiful transference of prayer. I think that's beautiful. Okay, lovely. Liliana?
Well, every morning I read my sacred intention based on Jewish wisdom and thank God. There's a lot of things to do, we have to do it together. And then they want on that to be sure that my soul is returned in the same shape that it is.
Okay,
Can I
beautiful. Everyone will speak as much as they can. We're just, everyone is conscious of it. Sylvie?
Okay.
I was just gonna say, like you, I had it on my bedside, I would forget, so I don't know if this is right or not, but I pasted it on the wall of my bathroom.
Oh,
So
lovely.
that I have to see it, and it
Beautiful.
just comforts me that I've done it.
Beautiful. So the routine of it is comforting. Okay, beautiful. Tara?
So when I started living a Jewish life on my own before my conversion, 12, 13 years ago, I look up things and, I was researching something because that's what I do. And I'm in Modeh Ani to find out. And so one morning I'm saying it before I get out of bed, my husband's sleeping and he's like, who are you talking to? To bed, I'm fine. And now when I'm doing it, he goes, oh, it's morning. It's like now it's become. At first he was like,
That's beautiful. So this is lovely. So the prayer in the words themselves also have this transference power here. It has a comforting power. It's got this sense of routine, this knowledge of it is now morning, and a gratitude. Anybody else?
Is this to acknowledge and to thank, Hashem that we, have reached another day?
Yes.
That the essence of?
That is the essence, and we are going to look at the words in just a moment, but that's exactly the essence, okay? So these are the first words that we are to recite when we actually open our eyes, even before we have gotten up out of bed. They're to be said when we open our eyes. Now, that is not to say that your routines and your rituals are not powerful. They are. I'm just gonna give the history and the context, but one of the things I appreciate is when we take that, the tradition and we make it our own. That's when it becomes alive for us, okay? So Modeh Ani traditionally is to be said when we open our eyes, even before we start the day, before we get up, all those things are the first words that we should recite, we should utter. I want us to read them and then we're gonna dive into the prayer a little bit more. And I have some interesting tidbits to share about it. But one of the things I want us to, I'm gonna read them out loud. What do you hear? And what do you not hear? Okay? Ready? Modeh ani lefanecha, melechai v'kayam, shehechazarta bi nishmati, bechemla, rabba, emunatecha. Modeh ani, I offer thanks to you, ever-living sovereign, that you have shehechazarta bi, that you have returned into me, returned to me, my soul, nishmati. In mercy, bechemla, rabba, emunatecha, how great is your trust. What word do you hear that stands out for you in this? And what do you not hear? Okay, you don't hear baruch, right? So it's not a bracha, it's not a blessing, very good. What do you hear? What words stand out for you? What resonates? Say it.
Melech.
Melech, okay, sovereign, king, ruler, okay.
Hi.
Hi, life, yeah, beautiful. What else?
Sovereign Lord.
Okay, yeah. And what'd you say? Gratitude, right? Modeh, I am grateful, I am offering things. Modeh, the first words that we utter when we open our eyes. The beautiful element of this is that the first words we should utter are words of thanks, words of gratitude. Just don't take that for granted for right now. Let's just pause for a moment and recognize that. The first words that we utter when we open our eyes, our tradition says, that should be modani, modani. I offer thanks. I am grateful. To begin our day, first and foremost, with gratitude. It's not a simple thing. It seems pretty simple in writing. Like, yeah, of course, I'm grateful. But think about what that really means. With the stressors of our lives, the complexity of the world, with all that we have going on, our running to-do lists, all of the different things that we have to do, can do, must do, should do, will do. What our tradition says, yeah, those are all important. Those are all things to get to. But the first thing is to open our eyes and to not just speak gratitude, but to see the world through lenses of gratitude. There's power in that. Imagine how that shifts our perspective and changes the way that we approach the world. If we begin every day with gratitude, in gratitude, and actually exclaiming gratitude. It's one thing to think gratitude, right? It's one thing to know gratitude, understand gratitude, but to actually speak words of gratitude as the first words that we recite in the morning. So my modani ritual is when I open my eyes in the morning, I am incredibly grateful. I'm grateful for a number of things. I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful that I'm in this place. I'm grateful that I'm surrounded by my family. And I am so grateful that that cup of coffee that Will brings every morning, that's right on my bedside table, is just the aroma. That is our shtick, and he is so good at it. It is right there in the morning, so my modani, after I've expressed my gratitude, is accompanied by a sip of flaming hot coffee. That I am grateful for, okay? So do you see what I did there? It is a traditional ritual, but it's mixed with what is that little modern moment that's relevant and meaningful to me? But it's also in the recognition that I'm not in this alone. Right? Right, there's this coupling of all of these different elements of our tradition, okay? One thing that's interesting is I was actually thinking about and studying for today that I take for granted, I didn't pay much attention to it until I then paid attention. Was that the word that's not there is Adonai. Look at the word, look at the prayer. Modeh ani lefanecha, melech, right, Lord sovereign, that's right, chai v'kayam. Shehachazarta bi nishmati b'chem larava emunatecha, yod he vav he not there. Adonai is not there. Modeh ani lefanecha, the cha though is you. I am so grateful to you. There's two things that I love about this. How intimate is that language? Modeh ani lefanecha, I am so grateful to you. Embedded within this first line is a personal, intimate connection with God. I'm not even calling you God by your Yud He Vav He, your Adonai. I'll get to Melech in the second line, but the first one, I'm grateful to you. There's a knowledge and understanding there that it's like not having to use the formal title of the person, of the concept of the sukkah, this shelter, of peace, of tranquility, however you understand God to be for you. But in this first line, it expresses an intimacy with God. I'm grateful to you. It also could be, I'm grateful to you, whoever the you is. But there's an intimacy there to know that this is who I am grateful to. And I'm just letting you know, whether it's a capital Y or not for you. I'm just letting you know I'm grateful. I'm grateful to you. And then the Melech. Now, the interesting thing from a tradition perspective is that you can say these words without washing your hands. So traditionally, very observant Jews will wash their hands first thing in the morning. They'll sleep with there's like a little basin. Thank you. I was like, where's that word? A bowl, a basin of water by the bed, right? Because you would get up and you purify yourself. It's like the mikvah, it's a purity. You wash your hands, then you can do your shachrit, your morning prayers, because you're now ritually pure. The reason why you don't have to wash your hands before you say Modeh ani, and that Modeh ani is done even before that ritual of netilat yadayim, of washing your hands, is because God's name is not there.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that amazing? I love finding these things. This is beautiful. Just think about that conceptually. And one of the things I love about that was that this prayer, this Modeh ani, is intended to be that closeness before the formality. That just as I open my eyes, I'm so grateful. And then I get up, I wash my hands, netilat yadayim, and then I can do my shachrit, my morning prayers. The Modeh ani is not necessary. God's name isn't there, but God is there. The lefanecha. Yes, Spencer.
I think there's also a level of intimacy and trust here in the third line, that you have restored my soul to be in mercy.
Totally.
Not us as a people, but myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that trust by us that God will have mercy, and God's trust in us that we will use our souls well during the day.
Beautiful.
That's sharpening.
Beautiful. Yeah, so Liliana asked me, why is this one of your favorites? Like, tell me more. I'm like, oh, I will. Because the morning blessings to me are so powerful. These are blessings that we recite not just on Shabbat morning, but it's a part of our Shabbat morning prayer service. The morning blessings have such profound insight, wisdom, strength, and it's real. In the sense that no matter where I am, what's happening in my life, these words are going to resonate. There's this personal, intimate connection between me and the divine, as well as centering myself for the day. So what we will discover in this first section, which will take us to 2 sessions before we even get to the Torah service, is that this ritual of the morning blessings is what we would say, let's say, from a contemporary perspective, people talk about mindfulness, right? Or meditation, centering ourselves and focusing us. This is the ritual and the routine of our morning blessings. And so it is such a beautiful way to begin the day. And so that's one of the things that I find incredible strength from. And then it's right here. I don't have to try to go anywhere else for it. It's right here in our tradition every morning. It offers us the guide, like a pathway from rising in the morning until beginning formally our day. It sets us up from gratitude to the recognition of our neshama, our soul, its restoration, living back within me, purified and ready, which we'll get to Elohai Neshama. And then our Nisim B'chol Yom, our daily miracles that we have every single day, the ability to witness Nisim, miracles. A miracle is not just the splitting of the sea. The miracle is not just the candles the oil lasted for 8 days. Each of us, and we've alluded to this during our year of study together, have the power and the possibility to witness and experience miracles every single day. We get the ability to define what a miracle is for us. And that's all part of this morning prayer service. So, power of modernity. So I brought the text here for you, and I'm gonna read it. I want you to hear it, okay? So this is true. The power of modernity. During a recent neurological conference in the United States, this was some years ago though, but neurologists from around the world convened to discuss a strange phenomenon. People who faint as soon as they get out of bed in the morning. Okay. One of the professors at the conference was Professor Linda McMahon from Great Britain, and she presented a long and complex lecture about the topic after having studied it in depth for many years. After years of observation and study, she came to the conclusion that the fainting phenomenon was the result of an overly quick transition between the prone, laying down, and standing position, right? Okay, come on. Yeah. Okay, so she explained that the blood in the body requires 12 seconds for blood to flow from the feet to the brain. However, when a person gets up too fast, under 12 seconds, then the blood finds itself projected too fast from the feet, causing a loss of consciousness. Here's her recommendation. Every person waking up in the morning, even someone who doesn't experience any of these issues, should sit up on their bed, slowly count till 12, in order to prevent any feeling of weakness, dizziness, or fainting. Her lecture was welcomed very enthusiastically and received applause from the public. Why am I telling you this?
She could say modernity.
Get it, girl. Martha's on it. Then another professor who happened to be Jewish asked to speak. He said, we Jews hold by an old tradition to recite a prayer every morning in tribute to the creator of the world, thanking, he said him, okay, God, for granting us the privilege of waking up whole and healthy. This prayer is recited immediately upon opening our eyes while sitting on our bed. The prayer is composed of how many words? 12 words. I know, it's an aha moment. And if we recite it slowly, with concentration, it takes exactly 12 seconds to say.
Oh my God.
And then she could have just opened the prayer book. I mean, come on, Linda. What do you think?
I love it.
Amazing.
Marcia, you gotta tell me, because Marcia's like this the whole time. Yeah, tell me, girl, what is happening?
I
For
have
you.
no idea. You keep talking, I'm loving it.
So think about that. 12 words. Let's look at them again.
I'm gonna China tomorrow.
Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shehechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla Rabbi emgatecha.
I do this every morning, it helps with wrinkles also.
Okay, well, whatever works. Okay. All right, 12 words, 12 seconds. 12 words, 12 seconds. Right? So each of us have a routine, a ritual. From our tradition's perspective, these 12 words help us if we think about, even if we take her study and what she is talking about is the idea that we don't just rush and jump out of bed, right? Like that whole, I jumped out of bed, right? But the idea is that we're intentional about how we awake. We're intentional about how we rise. We're intentional about how we stand on 2 feet. And the first words that we utter are those of gratitude, which helps prepare us, not just spiritually, but physically and mentally, to live a life that is guided by intentionality, by prayer, and with gratitude. 12 words, 12 seconds. Let's move on. Okay, the next prayer that we have, the next blessing, is on page 72. So we've said our modani, we've stood up, we're ready to begin the day. And then the thing that we need to do is in the morning, and Shabbat morning, is to don the talit. So I want, you have talit tote around. There's some around you can pass, and there's some in between you, so you can share it. So I want everyone to just look at the talit. Open it up, you don't have to put it on. You're just gonna, this is just an exercise in feeling and seeing. So you can share, like spread it even that way, Robin, like spread it towards them. You guys have one here, okay? So at first I want everyone to just look at the talit. Okay? For some of us, it is routine to wear the talit. For others, it's something that we see others wear. For some of us, it's just we throw it on and we head up, right? Or head up to Zima. But I wanted to give us a few moments in this space and in this time before we study the blessing. Is actually look at it, feel it. What do you notice? What do you see? What elements are there? What stands out for you?
It's a blessing across the town.
Okay, so for on the atara, so this is the atara. Everyone sees that? This is called an atara. On the atara, there's words. On this atara, and I think on all the ones that we have in front of us, is the actual bracha, the blessing that we say to put on the talit. Okay, Liliana says we have the tzitzit, the fringes, on the 4 corners, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. All right, so we have the tzitzit on 4 corners. What else is interesting?
The tzitzit has 4 knots, 7 back.
Okay, so the fringes on this part have 1, and then the corner tzitzit have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knots. Okay, good. Yeah, Spencer.
Why do they have sparkles?
Yeah, great. All right, right. Decorative. Right, so there's an element to it that is aesthetic, it's just decorative. Now, for some, over time, you'll see that some of these talit have blue stripes, some of them have black. And then there are also, these are just the ones that we have here, but there are other ones that have ornate different designs, right? So the blue actually is intentional. This is to remind us of the tchelet, of the blue yarn that was from the time of the Torah, which we'll get to in just a moment from the book of Numbers, right? That we would have there was this very special color tchelet that they say came from like a unique snail or some sort of an animal, sea urchin, snail, just depends on the translation, but that made this blue. And then over time, the rabbis couldn't find that, and so they said, you know what, better not to have it than to have it wrong. And so that's why you'll see that tzitzit are traditionally, most often are white, but there are definitely more traditions now that have it in multiple colors.
The number of lines have nothing to say, no message,
Not really,
just decoration.
just decor, decoration, okay? All right, so good, so we're gonna get into the tzitzit in just a moment, but I wanted everyone to just look at it and feel it, touch it while we say the blessing together. Okay, so here's the blessing, it's on the screen, it's also in your book on page 72. Or on your atara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehidateh b'tzitzit. Okay, so what is familiar in that bracha for you?
Word tzitzit.
Right, Okay, great, but the formula, right? It's the traditional regular blessing formula, right? All the way through Vitsivanu. The bracha formula, Baruch Hashanah Eloheinu melech haolam asher k'chanu mitzvotav Vitsivanu, right? These are the things that we are commanded to do. Vitsivanu, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. We are commanded, Vitsivanu, we are commanded to light candles, right? Vitsivanu lihitatei batzitzit. We are commanded to don, right? To wrap, to envelop ourselves in tzitzit. What is not there? What word is not there? No, think about it. Adonai is there.
You got me.
Talit.
Talit. Exactly. This is the blessing to wrap yourself in a talit. What is there? What words are there? Tzitzit, not talit. Fascinating. Right? Remember, what's interesting is what's on the page, but what's really interesting sometimes is what's not on the page. So why is that?
Perhaps you could make your own.
What is the word tzitzit people mean?
The fringes. These
Fringes, okay.
fringes, right?
Wrap ourselves in fringes.
In the fringes, right? So that's curious, right? You would imagine that's this, that I'm, the talit is what I'm wrapping myself, but it's a tzitzit, okay? So it forces us to ask the question, yes, that's
I mean, physically, you can't really have fringes unless you have some, you know.
a garment.
Yeah.
Right. So, in the days that we discussed or came up with this notion of the tzitzit, of having these fringes, it was the tradition of the day, from a society's perspective, that they wore garments like this. Have you ever seen, like, in the Bedouin tents or the communities, right? You would have these garments, they're like smocks that you wear, right? The head would be here. And so they had like a rectangular, or even like the long gowns in the days that, you know, in the early days of simplicity, this is what they would wear. They already had this garment. So the garment's here. So we just need to add fringes to the corners of our garments.
Make it holy. versus
To
all
add
other garments.
that we're wearing the fringes, right? So here's what it says. From the book of Numbers, this is where we get the command. Adonai spoke to Moses saying, speak to the people of Israel and instruct them to make for themselves tzitzit, fringes. Make these on the corners of their garments. They already have the garment. Throughout the ages. Let them attach a cord of blue techelet to the fringe at each corner. That shall be your fringe. Look at it. Go ahead. Look at it. Look at them. And recall the commandments of God and observe them, so that you do not follow your heart and eyes in lustful urge. Okay? So these fringes, these tzitzit, would attach to the regular garments that they would wear. So if you ever seen a talit katan, that's what men would wear underneath their garment.
Yeah.
That's very similar to what it originally was like, this notion, okay? Attach it so that it's just a part of your everyday garment. So why, first of all, a few questions, okay? Why does this remind me of the commandments? Why does this thing remind me of the commandments?
Are there 5 straight parts and 5 knots?
So, right, so you have these knots and you have the coils, right? This whole creation of a tzitzit between the knots and the fringes equals 613.
Oh.
The gematria of all of this, 613. So it's a physical representation of the 613 commandments. One of the things I love about this, and if you come to Slichot this year, you are going to make your own tzitzit. Why? Not just because it's an amazing thing to do, but one of the things that we are doing this year is that we're gonna have a bookmark for you for the high holidays, because remember, Slichot is the Shabbat before the holidays begins. This bookmark, we're gonna study about the book of life. And the bookmark is gonna have a tzitzit on it. It's a physical, tangible representation for how we want to begin our year. With the reminder of living and marking our way in the book of life through the engagement of the mitzvot and living a life that is holy and blessed. These tzitzit are that physical reminder for us. We can feel them, we can touch them, we can be physically connected, spiritually connected to the concept of the mitzvot and to God. And so they are on these corners, but why 4 corners? Why not just 2 of the corners? Yes, Anita.
4 corners of the earth.
Thank you, okay. So have you ever seen when anyone is reciting the Ve'ahavta, right? They pull the 4 corners. All right, so right before, you have, right before Ve'ahavta, it says that you should gather from the 4 corners of the earth. Right? And you would wrap it in your fingers. And then when you say, Shema Ve'ahavta, because it's right before you say Shema Ve'ahavta, people are holding the tzitzit from the 4 corners of their talit to show and represent from the 4 corners of the world, all the Jews, 4 corners of the earth, all of Am Yisrael, from the 4 corners, that we would gather all together as one, and they would put it over their heart, and that's how they would sing Shema Ve'ahavta. Right, so that also is another another part of the choreography of the service, is that you will gather from the 4 corners of the earth. Right, all together, all of us, wrap it, place it over your heart, or sometimes people put it over their eyes for Shema and Ve'ahavta. Okay. This gathering, right, the gathering of all of us in exile, gathering us all together from the 4 corners of the earth, that we are all here together, right?
Why would they wear the talit on Saturday for example?
Because when you recite Torah, you wear your talit for the Torah. That's one of those like honor, kavod for the Torah, the presence of the Torah. So, okay, so we have this garment. I have up here some interesting representations of talitot from throughout, in different places of the world and throughout time. So this first one on your left is from Germany, 17 to 1800s. These are all currently in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. Look how beautiful this talit is, right? It's silk. Let me see if I don't think I can make it. No, I can't. I mean, maybe, but let's see. No. Okay. Then this middle one is from Tripoli, Libya, also late 1800s, early 1900s. And this one I thought was so interesting. I love this. This is from Morocco, early 1900s. The one all the way on the right, right? It's beautiful. And you see all of us, like everyone in this room, the clergy, all of us have different talitot, right? One of those just like beautiful elements of Hidor Mitzvah, of to make something that you're obligated to engage in beautiful, right? Like that shows the reverence and the kavod that we have for the actual mitzvah itself. Okay, so let's see what Rashi says. Rashi says that the tzitzit will remind one of all the commandments, right? That's what we talked about. The numerical value of the letters of the word tzitzit is 600. And then there are 8 threads, 5 knots in the fringes, so that you have 613, which is also the number of the commandments of the Torah, which we talked about. So the talit itself is this reverence, this knowledge. One of the things I love about the talit too, is that it sits on our shoulders. Okay, like you can wear it like this, you can wear it as the atara, but it sits upon you. One of the things I love about that is that for me, I think about physically being wrapped in God's presence when I wear the talit, that I feel that presence around me. There are moments when I'm praying that I need to feel like sort of the weight of the people who've come before me. You sort of feel that on your shoulders, right? There's a physical and there's a spiritual weight that it's placed on our shoulders. It reminds us that we're not in this alone. This engagement of worship, of study, of prayer, of what it means to be Am Yisrael, but also what it means to be a human being. That we have, and we are protected and enveloped and wrapped in God's presence and in the presence of our community. And that reminds us, it's also it's a humble reminder of leadership too, of what weighs and sits upon you as you are a shaliach tzibor, as you are leader of prayer, whomever is that shaliach tzibor, whoever is leading that prayer, that you carry that sense of a weighted responsibility as you're taking all of those who are there on a worship journey, a journey through sacred time and space. And so those are the kind of things that you think about when you wear this incredible shawl, prayer shawl. Who here remembers the time that they first either had a talit or gave a talit, wore a talit? Anyone? Yeah, Tara.
So I bought one for myself about a year and a half ago. And it was in my closet literally until the day of my conversion, just sitting there waiting. And I would occasionally take it out and look at it and just be like, okay, one day. And then when the day came, I got to wear it, I was literally in tears.
No,
And then I found out from Rabbi Dan the other night.
right, you have it to pay that.
That I have that blue piece.
Yes.
And I got it from Israel. And to me, it's just such a precious gift. And so when you put it on, I literally feel like I'm transforming. So that Shabbat is here.
Oh, that's beautiful. What a beautiful tradition. That's lovely. Who else? Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in, Baldwin, Long Island, in New York, and I went to Central Synagogue.
Mhm.
That's not the Central Synagogue anymore, before, and, I was confirmed there, I wasn't on ministry, because I had a learning, back then they didn't call it a learning disability, but that's what it was, but I was confirmed, but in all the years that I went to services and to religious school, I don't recall, I could be wrong. The people in the congregation, wearing talits.
Sure.
And obviously, the reform that I was, growing up in is far different than it is today.
Sure. Right. Classical reform.
That the synagogue that I went to, in Nassau County, it's still operating.
Oh, wow.
It's about 85 years old, but because the Jewish population, shrunk, over time, they merged with a Reconstructionist, part of Reform Judaism, and they're co-located in a building in
Oh,
the
it's so nice.
synagogue that I went in. Yeah, so this kind of brings me back to some of my earlier.
Well, I will tell you, Alan, that we are starting an adult B'nai Mitzvah class in the fall. So if you're interested in becoming bar mitzvah as an adult with a group of people,
And
just, if you want to talk about it, I'm happy to
I
talk with you.
appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it'll be really amazing. We're gonna do it as a group. Yep,
I did it 15 years ago. That's the first time
that you wore a telly.
yes, I was, we had confirmation.
Yes.
It was beautiful. There were 13 of us.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Cool, Sylvie,
I became bar mitzvah in my 40s.
lovely.
And that's when I bought my first study. But what was interesting is that the rabbi in my congregation had never been.
Oh, interesting.
And so he was
With you.
with us. With the
Wow, how special is that?
It took a lot of courage, I think.
Yeah.
And I did my Aliyah and I was perfectly fine, but when I went to my Haftarah, I kind of blanked out. And I heard his words in the back giving me the cue, so.
Oh.
And ever since then, I've been.
You have your telly. That's beautiful. Who else wants to share? Anyone else?
I'm thinking about the fact that it's funny that I can't remember the first time I wore a talit, but I think when I was the leader of my confirmation class. I was confirmed before I was bar mitzvah. I was the leader of my congregation class and I read the Torah.
Oh, wow.
So I must have worn a talit, but I can't in my mind picture it. Whether I wore my husband's or my father's, I have both.
Oh, beautiful.
I have to ask my kids.
Robin.
I don't remember the first time I wore one, but I've had a few in my life, and it's one of the things that I love. And I don't go to Saturday morning services, so all year long, I look forward to Call Me a Drink, and then on holidays, so I can wear my tongue.
I love that. I love that. You want to?
They have a Shabbat.
Cause we read, yeah, I mean, you could wear it because we read Torah, so if you wanted to wear it on Friday night. Cause we read Torah, why not?
I mean, I thought about that, and I know a few people do,
Yeah.
not clergy, not clergy. And I've kind of gone back and forth, because my understanding was it's Kohen Dre and then.
And Shabbat morning,
Yeah.
and traditionally, cause it's Shabbat morning, cause we read the Torah, but since we read the Torah, if you wanted to wear it.
Good to
Beautiful,
know.
it's good to know, although if you want it to be your special thing on the high holidays, I won't begrudge you that either.
Well, I have two different.
Oh, so it could be your
One
Shabbat holiday and your holiday.
Yeah.
You sound like a rabbi now. Okay, good, wonderful, beautiful. So
I
nice,
always
yeah.
thought you only wore a talit if you were participating in the Torah service on the bima.
I mean, well, not really, because it's just in the presence of the Torah you would wear it. I mean, if you're going up to the bima, yeah, you would wear your talis for the honor of that. And you know, look, people have different traditions, and I think there's, for some people, like, that's very meaningful to wear it while the Torah is out, for some while they go up, for others, it's not, like, it's, right, it's whatever is most comfortable for you. But since we read Torah on a Friday night, there's no reason why you didn't have to wear it, yeah. Yes, that's it.
No one at my synagogue at home wears talit on Shabbat, which is very different from this, but I think we just like super assimilate Connecticut.
Okay, or it could just be the tradition, the minhag of the place. I'll tell you a story about minhag.
I think we just super assimilate in Connecticut.
Okay, but here's a funny
There's
story.
a joke.
I'll give you, here's a funny joke about minhag. So everyone knows what the word minhag means? So minhag means a custom. Custom. Minhag is custom. Now, every place has minhagim, customs that are true to their place, okay? So there's a visitor in a community and it's Shabbat and they decide, I'm gonna go to Shabbat services, like that's meaningful to me. So the visitor goes in, everyone's getting ready to walk into the temple, they're all walking into the synagogue, and as they walk down the main aisle of the synagogue, midway through at a certain point of the aisle, every single person bowed their head. So the visitor's watching, he's like, I've never seen this custom before, how beautiful, like the reverence and the awe that they're showing to the place, to the bima, to the Torah, and he stood there for a long time, and every single person who came into this sanctuary came in at the same place, bowed their heads, and then went and found their seats.
Yeah.
He was overwhelmed by this act of humility and reverence, that at the oneg, he says to someone there who he had seen participate. So I just want you to know, I've been to synagogues all over the world. I have never seen such reverence, such a beautiful minhag to come in and bow and every person in the same spot. Like, what a beautiful tradition. The guy standing at the oneg goes, tell you a story about it. He goes, before the renovation, there was a very large chandelier that hung very, very low. And you had to bow your head so you didn't hit your head when you walked in. And ever since, we still bow our head. In the Talmud, it says, minhag kamo halacha. That minhag, the customs, are just like law. So if you think about that, minhag kamo halacha, that over time, the minhagim and the customs that we develop in our places and our spaces and our rituals, when people say, sing the traditional michamocha. As you probably know from the cantors, that could be 14 different versions of michamocha, but the traditional one to me is the traditional one to me, right? Minhag kamo halacha. That one of the things that I love, appreciate, and adore about Judaism is in fact that whole concept that our traditions over time, as they become truly a representation of how we worship, study, gather, our tradition considers them halacha. That for us, that is our way. That is the way in which we do it. So it has the same kind of weight. It's not just a custom. The custom has gravitas and it has weight for the community.
So
So
my question is, if you come to services on Shabbat, late services supposedly, 7:30. But it's still light out there, it's summer and it's still light. Is it, what, I mean, I put the talit on with
minhag kamo halacha, right? So for us, if we're gonna wait to start Shabbat services when the sun went down
Yeah.
in the summer,
I'll be hungry.
imagine what time we'd be here at the Oneg till.
So,
That'd be like 1 in the morning, right?
so then you put it on symbolically, even though it's still light.
Yes,
Okay.
because we're also starting Shabbat before, I mean, technically, right? Like,
Yes.
okay, but right, but that's when we can gather, that's when we're all here, that's when,
I
you know.
understand.
Minhag, Mo, Halacha. Okay. Yes, that's.
Is that why Reform Judaism, is that one of the parts of it, is we can. As Jewish people make kind of our own traditions in a way?
Yeah, but it's not just Reform Judaism, as we've talked about in the class before, I mean, if we think about the evolution and the way in which we practice and do. Yes, there is halakha, there is law, there are certain things that are done. But those also evolve, different rabbis, and you follow different communities and different rabbis and different perspectives, and don't think that the crux of it, the foundation of it. That is the tried and true, like that is, our Torah is our Torah, regardless of where, right? But each community develops their own minhagim, their own customs, their own traditions. Just like we started off with Modani, that your routine, you're doing it, you're reciting Modani. To me, there's so much power and beauty in that. Whether you do it when you go into the bathroom because it's written on the wall, or you do it along your way and you give your husband a little love tap so that he said it too. Or it's in the morning, or it's before you stand up, or it's you're sitting, but you're not standing, but you're standing, but you're not sitting, okay, that's your thing. What you're saying is. You're beginning with gratitude, you're beginning with the words. Right, our tradition gives us that invitation to do it and to validate that as powerful. And there's so much richness and beauty. And I think also the longevity of the Jewish people and our tradition.
Some stuff's gonna change.
It's going to change, but it should change. It should evolve. But still true to the foundational core. That's not changing. We're not gonna rewrite the Torah just because I don't like certain parts of it.
There aren't 4 corners of the earth anymore.
Okay. Alright. Expensive.
When did that happen?
If you think about it, back then they had a map, there were 4 corners, even though it only went so far.
So for Spencer, that's a challenge, I think.
Not even a little.
Okay, good. Everyone feel good about the Talit? Did we all learn something about the Talit?
Yes.
Do we all feel excited about the Talit now? Get it? I'm so excited to see all these new Talit tote Friday night. It's gonna be beautiful around. Amazing. We'll be in the stage, we'll be in the chapel this Friday. I love that. We'll be in the chapel, yeah, July. Yep, and we welcome our new Rabbi Ashir Boxman. This will be her first Friday night with us, which is really wonderful. Yeah, so this is a good Shabbos to be there and.
What time is it?
6 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
It's the first Friday.
First Friday, I need to know. First Friday, 6 o'clock and in the chapel. So we're gonna do we have time for one more part of our service. We're gonna look at Matovu. That's on we have some Matovu fans. Okay,
Yeah.
page 74, Matovu. Matovu. Okay, beautiful. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How fair, how good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. Where is this from? It's from the Torah. Oh, yeah, okay. From the Torah, from the book of Numbers. 24. Okay, these are the words that are recited by Bil'am, the prophet, remember?
Yeah.
He is hired by the king of the Moabites, Balak, who wants to hire him to come and to curse the Jewish people. Okay? Balak sees this growing big nation of people, not too excited about it, right? And he hires this prophet, Bil'am, who is to come out and he bestows blessings and curses onto people. And so Balak asks him to come and to curse the Israelites. What happens to Bil'am along his way? One of the most fun stories in the Torah. Bil'am is on a donkey. And the donkey starts to veer. Right, Balaam is supposed to go a certain way, the donkey veers this way, goes around. Balaam is so livid with the donkey, right? It's terrible, yeah, there's like some animal challenges here, but all of these things happen. It's to say, right, God intervenes and tries to veer Balaam away from his task. He finally gets there, he realizes God speaks to him along the way to basically say, you're not gonna curse the Israelites. He's like, yeah, well, I was hired to do this job, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I go, like, not so much, he opens his mouth and he actually speaks the words of God, and it's in the form of a blessing. So Balaam blesses the people of Israel as opposed to curses them. Matohu halecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael are the words of that blessing. That Balaam stands up and looks out onto the people of Israel and says, how good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. Okay, and we recite these words in the morning. So it's, what's so beautiful about that is that we're reciting these words from our Torah, but words that were not necessarily intended for what they were intended to be. Right, and so it's also like a really beautiful reminder of that notion between blessing and curse, the words that we recite, the power that they have, and the intention behind them. So Matohu halecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael, va'ani berov chastecha avo veitecha, and I, through your abundant righteousness, goodness, love, avo veitecha, that enter into the home. Eshtachave el hachal kodshecha v'yiratecha, eshtachave, and I bow down in awe, in reverence, in holiness, okay? Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha umkom mishkan kavodecha. I love this, like, this temple, this abode, this dwelling place of your glory. V'ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon. As for me, right, my prayer, it comes to you, Adonai, et ratzon, my, in this favorable time. Elohim berov chastecha, neni be'emet yishecha, O God, in your abundant faithfulness. Answer me with your deliverance, with your true and sure deliverance. This is from Mishkan Tefillah. I wanted us to read it together. It's on page 75 and it's a commentary, a teaching on Motovu. You see it on the bottom of page 75 in the footer? When you see the synagogue from a distance, say, how fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. Upon arriving at the synagogue door, stop momentarily to arrange your clothes properly and say, I, through your abundant love, enter your house. I'm gonna stop there for a second. Do you see what this is doing, what this teaching is doing? Okay, when you see it from afar, start with how fair your tents, O Jacob. When you arrive at the door, remember, this is what we talk about all the time, how we prepare ourselves, even from the moment we park our car, to getting out of our car, to now arriving at the doors, arrange ourselves, be ready and say, through your abundant love, I am entering this house. Okay, then next. Then when you enter with dignity and awe, bowing slightly toward the holy ark, and say, together, I bow down in awe at your holy temple. I love your temple abode, the dwelling place of your glory. Then, walk in a bit, and bowing again, say, I will humbly bow down low before Adonai, my maker. Then leave some charity for the poor, as much as you can afford. And concentrating within yourself, say, here I stand, ready and willing to perform the commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. Then you may pursue the love of God. There are steps that we take, intentional steps, as we prepare ourselves, not just for the time, but for the space that we enter. And so as we think about Matovu ohelecha Yaakov, va'ani berov chastecha, Adonai ahavti, va'ani eshtachaveh, va'ani tefilati lecha, Elohim berov chastecha. each of these steps remind us the different expression and the ways in which we bring ourselves into prayer, into sacred space, prepared, really ready and willing to begin again. I'll see you on Shabbat. Okay, so just a reminder for everyone in person and online, July 11th, we begin our Friday class. So we have lunch and learn on Tuesdays. That's not going anywhere. Lunch and learn is on Tuesdays. Fridays at 11 for 1 hour, 11 to 12, we will study the weekly Torah portion together. I will be leading that class Fridays at 11, and then, you know, so Fridays 11 Torah portion class, the weekly Torah portion. There's also a Zoom option, but it's in person also in here. So you can come Zoom, you can live stream or be here in person. That's Fridays at 11. And then in August, we'll have a Zoom information session. We are starting an adult B'nai Mitzvah class with, oh, I already have some people who are interested. I'm so excited. We'll study together. It's a journey. It is, don't worry, it's not overnight. It is 18-month journey that we will learn and study together. We will take our time in order to then, which will culminate in that adult B'nai Mitzvah experience. That will start after the high holidays, but I want to just give you, if you know of anyone, if you're thinking about it, August 8th, we'll do a Zoom session. That information will come out soon, but I wanted to just give you a heads up. So starting next week, July 11th, Fridays at 11, we add an additional learning session to our week on the Torah portion.
And it's not this
Okay.
Friday.
Not this Friday, it's next Friday, July 11th.
What's the next
Okay.
topic for lunch and learning numbers?
You'll be learning with Rabbi Ashira, with our new rabbi, and she will be teaching on going through the Machzor, the high holiday prayer book. So we continue our theme of studying the liturgy so that you are prepared and ready for the high holidays.